And they're cute, just like polar bears are really cute. And even koalas are really, really adorable. But they'll chew your face off. And I think that's just fine. And as a result, what do? We don't put koalas on our face. This is perfect, right? We don't do that because we know. We know. And that conveyance is perfect. Everyone understands it, whether you be in the urban area or wherever you live. It means that Mama Grizzly would kill you, but it doesn't ruin the rest of her life, and she gets on with business. Her family, and for a president, not that the president is queen or mommy, but America is a family. Is that the Italian Mama Grizzly saying?
Is that the sign?
Yeah, could we ask them to turn that? Would be great too. Italian music, you know. Now I'm just feel ready to show you. It is the perfect analogy in that you're able to convey a capability of violence, of defense, family defense, national defense, while still having the persona, the femaleness of the persona, that it's not an unusual way of approaching it, that it's completely natural, that response, that you are not fighting against your nature as a woman to be the commander-in-chief or to defend your family. Like you guys probably wouldn't mind your mom having a gun right now to defend you if you needed it. See, there you go. So it says, and it reminds us that it's not something Sarah Palin had to learn by going to the gym, that it's in each of us. And it translates from Palin to Nikki Haley to any of the other Mama Grizzlies you want to convey it. It is perfect reliance. I then do think that, in my humble opinion, she should have a military man as vice president, which would help immensely. LA, any other issues, especially more. And there may be one or two who might be available at some point, one never knows. But those are decisions these are strategic issues. That reference, I don't think, was natural, and it wasn't some strategery with people sitting in a room thinking, what's the best phrase? That's the other great thing about it, is that the naturalness of what she represents works on our issues as well. Anything else? Yeah, I forget. Oh, yes, yes, dear.
I've got two questions. How do you personally feel about the kind of sexism that is in our national dialogue and accepted by the average American, which would definitely not be tolerated in the workplace? I mean, the kind of sexism that you know towards women, especially Sarah Palin,
Yeah, you're right. I think questions about sexism and how I feel about it and how it's going to affect women in general when that gets ramped up as an election goes on. Like I can see November from my house, everything should be used as an exposure of the enemy. And I consider the American left the enemy of this country. And they will expose themselves, as they did with Nikki Haley. It was the perfect dynamic. It was disgusting. You wouldn't want her kids to hear this. Her husband had to go through it. And yet, it ended up backfiring completely on the men accusing her of sexual impropriety. And I've said, and I'll say again, there are two things that will be used against women. Whether it's Haley or Sharon Angle or Sarah Palin or Fiorina, it will be our mental state or sexual impropriety. Or reduced to body parts, which also they started to do with the T-shirt episode. Yeah. Right? For days it was about discussion about an upper measurement, which then it's meant to denigrate, and the press goes for it. It's meant to make you a body part, to remind the American people that women are parts to be used. That's fed through the biggest industry we have in this country, which is pornography. So you have her handling it, and this is where we've got to have her back as well, as bloggers, as at our PTA, at the Rotary, at the Moose, within our units, is saying, wait a minute, you know, this is not okay. And making sure that we have her back on that kind of framework. And, you know, she answered it as well. You know, she said, look, those of us who, like I'm Italian, I'm Irish from the neck up and Italian from the neck down, I dress in layers. Because I grew up not having people look at me in the face. And if you would not be seeing me wear a t-shirt or a sweater. Because I just can't. Now, you all better be looking at me in the face. And Palin inferred the same thing on Fox, of course, where it was, look, you dress in layers so that you don't have to deal with this stuff. It was a t-shirt. And we look different in our t-shirts, don't we? The guys are going, yeah, you guys look different in your t-shirts. It's true, that will continue, and it has to be used like every other attack to our benefit, as an exposure of who they are. And at least the feminist movement maybe is educated somewhat on that. The good news is we will take that back up. And like with Nikki Haley, we can't necessarily stop it. I might also say that it happens in a much more aggressive manner toward women of color. The issue of especially sexual impropriety. And that, beyond the issue of race, that will be the tactic of choice against women of color who run, and that's why it was really aggressively used by every male that was running against her, against Nikki Haley. So Palin isn't necessarily Teflon quite yet, but she's very close to it. It's going to be other women that run, and the women that Palin supports that will face them. Obviously, personally, it's deeply offensive. One of the things also that will help change this dialogue is to have a woman in office that gives our entire society another nuanced view about what women can be. That you can, in fact, be attractive and sexual and among prison. That we are all those things. That you can be all that America allows as men and women, and have it represent why we're the greatest nation on earth. And I think that's what Palin also can bring in just automatically without any effort. Will it ever go away? Sexism? Probably not. Our goal is to make it better for our daughters and to give them as much resources as possible, which means is to make as much money as possible. Women and people of color are only free when they're financially independent. When you can make choices about where you're going to send your kid to school, or if you're in a relationship because you want to be, not because you have to be, that you can send your kid to a private school or homeschool if you want. All comes down to us being able to keep the fruits of our labor. As long as we are looking for a check from someone else, or our rent is reliant on someone else, or from a check from the government, or from a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you can't make your own decisions. So women, that's why women are the biggest, we're the ones who start small businesses. Over 60% of small businesses that start up in America are started by women. And those are the businesses under attack by Barack Obama. So it's a slow kind of dynamic.